Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Swordfighting Bible. In the last episode, we took a stab at 2 of the 4 big concepts that were introduced in episode 2. Today, we're continuing those and we are specifically going to look at combos in depth. Sadly, we won't have time to look at the macro and we'll save that for the next episode because this video will be too long otherwise. For now though, we're going to take a look at more advanced breaker stacking techniques, upside down builds, and some cookie cutter opener strategies. Alright, let's get to it. As you might recall, we went over some very simple breaker stacking methods earlier in the series. The simple doubles and triples, both in vertical and horizontal form. We're going to start off by introducing the combined stacking method, which essentially is when you combine horizontal and vertical stackings in one. Here's an example of combining a triple vertical and a triple horizontal. By triggering the yellow breaker, we set off a cascade, which sets off the red, which sets off the blue, then the green, and then finally the yellow. Not the most difficult example. We can easily spot the horizontal and vertical parts. Notice that a combo can have however many combinations of different combined stacks. Just take a look at this one, which contains 2 horizontal stacks and 1 vertical stack. Alright, and now let's look at upside down builds, as I like to call them. These builds have the upside of being generally more safe and provide room for counter openers. They are safe because the breakers are at the bottom rather than on top and they can't be crushed by swords, except side swords. They're good for counter openers because they're usually built on the side, which gives you a chance to set up for your opponent to set it off for you. Here's an example of a very basic upside down build. Here's an upside down build that features a triple stack. This works not only for 2s by 2s, but also for 2 by 3s and higher. See the following example. Even though upside down builds are safe in general, there are ways to mess them up. The part about the blocks forming in mid-air can make them not fall as you'd imagine. Let's take a look at an example of that. As you can see, a 2 by 2 block forms and gets stuck on the red pieces, which means that this combo is ruined. Doesn't work. So what do you do when you get a lot of breakers early on? This is something that people seem to have issues with, and a common question I get. And well, this is it. You don't always have to do the standard 2 by 2 block and then have a vertical stack on top of it. Remember that being flexible is key when it comes to openers. Knowing when to do regular breaker stacks and when to go for upside down builds is a very important macro decision. Upside down builds are generally harder to disrupt. Keep in mind, however, that regular openers where you build tall rather than wide have a minor speed advantage on you because the pieces they place have less distance to travel. So it is generally faster to build a vertical stack than a horizontal stack. Let's have a quick quiz to see if you've been paying attention so far. Here are 5 different builds. I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can spot which of these fail. Okay, now let's move on to openers. We're going to look at 3 specific cases that happen during the first turn of the game. The first turn will have a huge impact on what kind of opener you're going to build. Number 1 is when you get 2 or more of the same color. This is the easiest case. When you get 2 or more of the same color, non-breakers, you can go ahead and start building a 2 by 2. Second case is when we get 2 or more breakers. You can just instantly start building a stack. Now this is a situation, however, where you can go for an upside down build. This is where experience will come in handy as you'll have an easier time deciding whether to go for an upside down build or just stacking down the middle. This isn't always obvious, but my rule of thumb is that if I get a piece that matches the first breaker, a side build is a decent choice most of the time. And case 3 is when we get a bunch of garbage, pretty much. This is when we don't get 2 of the same color and we get 1 or 2 breakers. The best move here is to not commit to anything yet and keep your options open going into turn 2, where you can finally decide on which color you're going or which stack you're going for, basically. So don't put pieces of different colors on top of each other just yet. Just put them next to each other down the middle and see what the following turn will give you. And now we're going to look at an opener turn by turn, and I'll do my best to analyze each move and explain any other potential paths one could have taken. Alright, we start off, and I hope you've spotted that this is case 1, so we'll end up building off of the yellow. The question remains, what do you do with the blue breaker and the green piece? Since we're going to incorporate the yellow into our opener one way or another, it's okay to put the blue breaker underneath the yellow and perhaps have some blues on top of the yellow, so later those can fall on the blue breaker. Okay, we see that the next piece contains a green. We can put that next to the green piece and start building a block on the left side in column 2 and 3. We'll just toss the red into the corner, that's alright. And next up is a red and a yellow breaker. This is a case where we'll end up changing plans. Even though our plan from before was to form a green block on the left, we're going to abandon that and go for the red instead, solely because of the yellow breaker that comes attached. The breaker being in column 3 is perfect because we are free to do whatever we want. We won't have to rely on getting a yellow breaker anymore. Now, next up we get a red breaker, and this is good because we basically have two choices. We can either start a stack in the middle, or we can try to build on top of the yellow breaker. In this situation, it doesn't change our plan about the current piece. We'll place the red/yellow in the same spot anyway, so let's wait and see what the next piece gives us before we decide. And as you can see, there's the blue we were looking for. Pay attention, as this is the crucial moment. This is where we essentially lock in our opener. We've decided to take this path because we got the pieces that fit it. The plan is to get 2 more reds in column 2 and then either go for a double stack in column 2 or just single the red, depending on what pieces we get. Okay, this one doesn't change our move at all. The placement of the next piece really depends. If you place it in column 3, you're trying to set up the blue block as an upside down build, and that's a valid move. But you could also consider placing it in column 5 with the yellow on the bottom. But that has the downside that it's impossible to put the yellow block together, like the 2x2 yellow is no longer possible. But then also you have to consider that if you want to build tall, then putting it in column 3 is the smarter move. Blue-green next, that means that we can decide to either finish off the blue block by putting the blue in column 3, or put the blue in column 4 and the green in column 5. I personally like the second line better, as this leaves us more open to comboing the green and gives us more opportunities for getting a yellow block set up. It also has the very minor upside of protecting the blue breaker. I like this line even more now, considering we get a yellow and green piece next. Without question, the best move will be to put the yellow in column 5 and the green in column 6. Not much to say here. Perfect piece coming up that we can put in column 2. Now let's take a moment to talk about our plan with the next piece we're getting. First, I'd like you to notice that we are dangerously close to a 3-sword opener. We need 1 blue and 1 yellow piece. Some of you might be thinking, oh, how nice, we can double the red, but that's a trap. We'll go over this in 100% detail in a future video, but you must know that the first 3 sword of the game always misses unless the third sword is a 1x4. As you might remember from episode 1, we need a 2x2 block for this. So to do this, we must not do any combo with the red. It must be a single, so we cannot place the blue breaker and the red in column 2. So if we're taking the path of a 3-sword opener, what do we do with the blue breaker then? Well, we can just put it away because it doesn't help us, but where do we put it? We only really have column 1 and 6 as options if we don't want to mess up our build. Column 1 seems like the only logical place to put it, as we get to attach the red and have a few more sprinkles with it. We also have the bonus of having the blue breaker there, and it might be useful for the mid game, so we're essentially saving it. And it's especially so considering it's in column 1, where it's very unlikely to get crushed by the enemy attack. The next move should be pretty obvious if you've been paying attention so far. We will finish the yellow block, but we'll also have a bonus sprinkle, so we'll place the green breaker in column 4, so it breaks the green after the blue breaks. Next, we get a blue breaker and a green piece. Doesn't really help us, as we're still looking for a blue piece and then a red to finish our combo. At this point during the opener, I would focus 100% on speed. Your focus should be on getting the pieces down as fast as possible by not losing frames and just getting the blue and red as fast as possible. Just chuck it down in column 1 or 6 Column 1 is a block higher, so if you're going for speed, that's the correct choice. But if you're feeling confident that you will be faster than your opponent, then you can go for column 6 instead and try to save the blue breaker for the mid game. Alright, there's the blue. Just need a red now, and we're done. We can extend the blue to a 2x3 block, so let's do that while we're waiting for the red. This is also good as we need to travel fewer blocks than if we were to put it down column 6 or 1. And well, apparently I didn't spot that, as you can see. But yeah, putting the blue in column 3 is definitely the right move. I just didn't spot it at the time. And as you can see, we have a red coming up next. Remember, do not try to double the red, just single it, otherwise the insta is ruined. Once again, I repeat, as you can see, we can easily double the red with the yellow coming the following turn, but this will ruin the 3 sword as the first sword needs to be a 1x4. This small mistake can make your opener go from a 3 sword instant kill to a 2x4 and a 2x6 with some sprinkles. So be really careful. And that's it for our opener example. If you'd like to try this exercise yourself, then download the sword fighting tool that I made by using the link in the description below. It's a great thought exercise and might make you rethink whatever move you would make when under pressure otherwise. And that's everything for episode 4. I'd like to shout out Tinathelard's Twitch stream. He streams pretty much daily and has some super good Puzzle Pirates content with familiar giveaways. The community is super friendly, so definitely go check it out. Make sure to leave a like and drop a comment below if you have any questions or if anything is unclear. I'll do my best to clarify. Let's try to hit 30 likes. 30 likes and I'll start working on episode 5. Pinky promise. That's it for today. Until the next episode, I hope you guys have a good one.